Hello, magical people of the internet. I am Jen, and welcome to my vlog, I Never Thought I Would, where we talk about doing things we never thought we would do and the incredible places that they can lead us to. I have a fascinating guest today. Her name is Juliette Nelson. She is an author, an educator, and a thought leader. Hi, Juliette.
Hi, how are you?
I am well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
You have so many things going on, and I can't wait to talk about them. But first, as always, I would like to start with a story of you doing something you never thought you would do and where it led you.
Never did I ever think I would live abroad for a year. And when I say abroad, I'm talking halfway across the world in South Korea. I grew up in a small town in New York, upstate New York, not New York City. My parents are Haitian American, so there's like a huge divide between parents who immigrated from Haiti versus me going to teach halfway across the world in Asia. An opportunity came. I was at a convention for young Christians, and they were recruiting English teachers. That kind of started the process. Honestly, I didn't believe that I didn't take myself seriously until the plane was flying over Japan and I couldn't get it to turn around. That's really how that happened. But it was an amazing experience. As a child, I did want to be a teacher at a point, like my father, and I threw that dream away. So going to South Korea, I was able to experience being a teacher in a classroom. And it was an amazing experience, connecting with people from different backgrounds, and of course, connecting with people in Korea, learning about their culture, finding similarities between the both of us. I think overall, I also found my purpose there, which is to really empower people to be the best version of themselves, and to work with people of different backgrounds, because that name in Korean means to share. It became very symbolic of basically how I live my life, sharing my gift, my triumph, my pain, my successes, and really hoping that someone else can use my story so that they can continue to strive to be their best self and their authentic self.
So I want to take a few steps back because I have a few questions.
Sure.
I've never been anywhere in Asia. What was the biggest difference that you found between American culture and Korean culture? Like, what was the biggest culture shock you experienced when you first arrived?
I think one of the bigger differences was individualism versus collectivism. And
Mm.
it's kind of weird because, again, my ancestors, and my parents and my family, they're from Haiti. So that is very collective. A lot of focus on the family, the community, togetherness, and so on and so forth, versus here in the United States, where there's a lot of emphasis on you as an individual, right? Everything you do, your goals, your dreams, and aspirations are to really be for yourself so you can be the best version of yourself, versus in Haiti, where a lot of the things you do, you take them back to your culture, you bring them back to your country, your community, to serve. And it's the same thing in Korea, where there's a lot of emphasis on the community, the family, the group. So I found that as a little bit of a difference. Interestingly enough, my roommate and we would go out to eat, and when they serve you at a restaurant in Korea, usually they put the food in the middle of the table, because again, it's the group that's sharing the
Mhm.
food. Everyone's just taking a little bit of everything. So my roommate and I would go out to eat. She would order what she wants and I would order what I want. And they would get to the table and they try to put it in the middle, and we're like, no, 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 that's for me. You can put it here. And sometimes it would be very confusing, because it's like, no, you guys are supposed to share this. So that was one of, I think, one of the first, I wouldn't even say culture shocks, but it was one of the first major differences that I saw. The difference between the individualistic culture that we have here versus the collective one in Asia. So
I actually find it fascinating that you found like a huge kind of divide between the American culture in that respect and the Korean culture. However, there were a lot of similarities between the Haitian culture and the Korean culture in terms
yeah.
of like a collective minded culture. So that's really fascinating. Through teaching, you said that helped you find your purpose to help empower people and to share your story. And that has led you to starting a business.
Mhm.
Nuri. Is that a Korean word as well, or is it an acronym?
So Nuri is a combination of my government name, Juliette,
Uh,
and my Korean name, Nuri. And I put them together to make Nuri.
oh, that's fascinating.
Yep.
And this company is an academic and professional development service company. Can you
Mhm.
explain to us a little bit about what the company provides?
Absolutely. So Junuri, on the academic side, so it's a combination of actual services and coaching, mentorship, and tutoring. So on the academic end, we provide tutoring. If you're in the high school, going up to college, graduate school level, that's where we provide more mentorship and coaching, career building, finding your purpose, what are you meant to major in, and so on and so forth. We also provide proofreading and editing services for academic papers, but it really takes on a very big coaching aspect where we identify your learning needs and then tap into that, and really work with you so that you're not only leaving with a completed project, but you're also leaving with a new skill, or something that you can continue to cultivate and better yourself in. On the professional end, we do professional development, job preparation, resumes, cover letters, professional portfolio building. So that's basically what Junuri does in a nutshell.
Okay, I'm going to take a step back because I want to talk more a little bit about the academic and professional development, because you combine two services that I haven't heard of being combined under one roof before. So you provide the academic services of helping students move forward with their academic career in terms of finding their purpose, and through finding that purpose and figuring out what to major in, and the tutoring services you provide will help them get into the right school, get into the right program. And then you also help them with their academic papers and their academic assignments, which will help them get to the degree that they need to enter the workforce. I've heard of companies doing that before. And then you also have the business development aspect. So once these students or clients have received their degree and they're ready to join the workforce, that mentorship continues and help prepare them to put together a portfolio, a resume, working on how to get through their first job interview, how to land that first position. You've connected all of the dots for your clients.
I honestly, when I started Junuri, it in the beginning, and I'm pretty sure every entrepreneur goes through this, you're kind of just trying to figure out where you fit because you want to do everything. And so, I had already been tutoring the young people that I mentored. It was something I was already doing. I used to do my friends' resumes just to do them. So when I started Junui, that's really what it was, just using my skills and putting it under a business. But eventually, as it grows to have its own meaning, you really start to see that the two work hand in hand, right? I always say that life is a learning experience. So even as a professional, you're still learning, you're still growing, you're still evolving. And so that's what I emphasize, that you are a learner academically, but you're also a learner professionally. And that's kind of the message I seek to send while bridging the two together. So
what were you studying at the time when you decided to go to Korea and start South Korea and start teaching? Because you mentioned your father was a teacher, you had had an interest in teaching, but then you kind of let that go. So what were your current goals before you decided to take that trip and live abroad?
my dream of teaching, that was when I was a kid. And even in daycare, I used to be the teacher where everybody had to sit in a semicircle and I would read to the rest of the kids at daycare. And even when I didn't know how to read, I would just make stories up from the pictures. And then when I got to, I think it was the 6th grade, I found out that on Superintendent's Day, when, teachers come in for professional development, that the students get off, but the teachers don't. I was so offended. I was like, I never want to work that job. It's trivial. I really threw that whole dream away. It was that easy. That moved into me wanting to become a lawyer. So there was a combination between business, corporate law, and international law. So I found this passion for it. So when I went into school in college, my focus was in business because I learned that you don't have to have a pre-law degree to go into law school. And so I started doing, business school. My minor was international business. My concentration was international business. My minor was history. I had my eyes set on law school. I went to South Korea, and by the time I left South Korea, I had to disappoint my parents and tell them, yeah, your child's not going to be the lawyer in the family. It's not going to be me. I don't know who, but it's not going to be me. And I mean, the rest is history. I am currently in school now for my doctorate in industrial and organizational psychology. It's not a Juris Doctor, but it is a doctorate. So hopefully my parents are happy.
I'm sure they are. You are so talented, and you have your focus split in so many amazing places, which brings me to your next company I'd like to talk about, and that is Nuri Lens. Can you tell us a little bit about that, please?
So Nuri Lens is a child company of Nuri. That started just for my love of glasses. When I lived in South Korea, I found that I can get glasses for cheap. So I started just collecting them. And when I came back to the States, I insisted on getting like just the cutest, coolest, outrageous glasses. And I would buy them in Asia. I would order them on websites in Asia. And then when I would get them, I would fill the prescriptions here. 2018, when I started the company, when I started Nuri, I jokingly told God, I was like, the next pair of glasses I wear has to be one that I design. And lo and behold, the following year, I discovered that gamers get blue light blocking glasses because they sit in front of their computers all day. Mm-hmm. And in my head, I'm like, well, professionals and students, we do the same. Whether you're a doctor or whether you work in an office or you're an entrepreneur or you're now a student, even before the pandemic, there's a big transition into the digital world, right? And so I was like, I want to create solutions for professionals and students that we serve in Nuri. And then one thing led to another. And I mean, we're here with an eyewear collection. And I mean, wood was kind of my way of trying to stand out. I didn't want my frames to be like everybody else's. Mm-hmm. I know that there are companies that have wooden frames, but they're not as common as, the norm. So I said, hey, we're going to go with wood. And I learned that wood even has a meaning itself. It represents growth. It represents wisdom, longevity. And so almost like a tree, right? That's deeply rooted and it just grows, it evolves. And so that became symbolic of the learning experience of striving to find your purpose and achieve your purpose, as we encourage students to do, our clients to do in Nuri. So our mantra in Nuri Lens is see through the lens of your purpose. And it basically represents, remaining on your learning journey and staying focused on what you were meant to do on this earth and the impact you're meant to have. So yeah.
I have blue blocking glasses as well. As a writer, when I'm writing, I'm in front of the computer hours on end. A lot of times the whole day goes by and you don't even realize it when you're like in the flow. And then on the filmmaking side, when I'm editing, when I'm going over footage, once again, I could be in front of the computer for 14 hours a day straight. And it does take a toll, and it's something that you don't really realize, like, you have a headache, that your eyes are hurting, but you're like, why?
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, and I've actually found that the blue blocking glasses are like a game changer because they've really saved a lot of discomfort and probably longevity in my eyesight.
Right. And I mean, I saw research on that as well. There's all types of speculations on how effective blue light blocking glasses are. Some people, they blow it up to make it seem like it's this blue light, at least the ones that come from your computer screen, are like extremely dangerous. What I've learned is, when you're sitting in front of a screen, as you said, 14 hours a day, for me, I could do easily 12 to 15 hours every day. So the blue light blocking glasses, especially when you're sitting in front of a computer for that long, it helps to kind of navigate through that.
You mentioned that you also have a publishing company, the Nuri Publishing Company, but you're also an author. So I want to talk about your book, and it's called Sharing My Lens, The College Experience. You're an academic, you provide academic services, so you're probably best person to share your lens on academic life.
And the lens, honestly, the lens, and I never really talked about the lens. The lens idea comes from my obsession with glasses.
Mhm.
I easily had, by now I probably have about like 25 pairs of glasses now, most of which I can't wear because my eye doctor told me to toss the other ones because I hadn't had my eyes checked for a long time. That's kind of where the lens came from. So when I founded Nuri, I wanted to combine, of course, my Korean name, which means to share, versus with my love for glasses. And that's where the lens came in. And it really was allowing people to look through my point of view, and my eyes and my life and so on and so forth. So I had just, I believe, completed like a year of my doctoral experience. And so literally after I made that decision that I said, okay, I'm just going to lay low a little bit, that's when I really started going through the experience of how challenging, again, for the third time, how challenging it is to sit through school and some of the challenges you encounter. And I was able to also apply lessons that I had learned having gone through undergrad and grad school. So sitting with a mentee of mine that year, we happened to just be talking about some of the things we wish people told us about college.
Mhm.
I was in a space where I was really trying to figure out how I was going to share my story and which part of my story I was going to share. And that's when it clicked, where I'm like, wait, I'm going to share about the college experience. When I was in high school, I took college classes. And the big challenge was that I was taking these college classes, but we constantly had to go back to learning what the other students were learning so that we can meet state requirements,
Mhm.
right? And so what happened is when I went into college, there was this huge disconnect between my experience in high school as well as in college. And so I really wanted to have a guide that I could share with students on, first and foremost, really understanding yourself, having a level of self-awareness, being okay with who you are, being okay with your learning needs. And then secondly, being intentional about building these different skills: public speaking, writing, money management. I think a lot of us, when we're going through college, we procrastinate, right? We write our papers an hour before they're due, kind of thing. But when you really learn to cultivate some skills, you realize that it's not just for school, but it helps you in your professional life, right? You have a podcast, public speaking courses in college. That's what it helps you to do, right? To be able to really talk about the things that you're passionate about and interview other people. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing is learning to network, build your brand, and also learn to appreciate others, just as they are. So that's kind of that really what encompasses the book. Gotten some good feedback from students who were like, wow, I really never looked at college that way. And I've been also able to use that with my clients, in not just going in to say, okay, I want to be a nurse, I want to be a doctor, I want to be an engineer, but saying, okay, this is how I meant to make an impact in the world. And this area of study is what's going to help me achieve that. So, yeah.
As you were explaining the book, I was thinking to myself, well, this is perfect for the clients that you're working with and helping them transition from high school
Right.
into college or grad school and figuring out like their path. And
Yeah.
there are so many things that we never understand why we're doing them, like when we're students. There's so like we all have to do public speaking, we all have to come up with a speech and talk our point through, and it's
Right.
nerve-wracking for most of us.
Right. Right.
Getting up in front of our peers and being judged. But it's never explained to us why these skills are important, because when you're 14, 15, 16 years old, even when you're 19 in college, you're not really thinking about, well, if I'm a lawyer and I have to present in a courtroom and I have to lay out my case, or if I'm a sales rep for a pharmaceutical company and I have to go in and explain to the doctor why this device is necessary and innovative. This sounds like a brilliant book for students,
Thank
because
you.
there are so many things, as an adult looking back in my life, it's like, I should have taken advantage of that. Oh, that's what that
Yeah.
was for. That's why I did that. And in hindsight, of course, we can, put all the puzzle pieces together, but while we're in the middle of it. And money management, I think, is a huge one. And I love that you've included money management, because especially as students, the only money management we're thinking about is, can we afford to eat at this, restaurant this week?
The little points that the college gives you to spend on lunch, that's really all we have.
I'm so excited that we got a chance to chat, Juliette. And can you please let everyone know where they can find you and where they can find your book and your glasses and all the amazing stuff that you're doing?
Absolutely. You can visit my website, JulietteNuriNelson.com. That's spelled Juliette. Nuri, N as in Nancy, U, R as in Robert, I, and Nelson, N as in Nancy, E, L as in Larry, SON. JulietteNuriNelson.com. You'll be able to find a link to my book. You'll also be able to find links to my social media platforms, as well as all of the companies that I manage. So.
Excellent. And we'll also include all the links below to make it easy for everybody to find Juliette and all the fabulous things that she's doing. Thank you so much for joining me today and chatting. It was so lovely meeting you. And
thank you. It's been a pleasure.
And I want to thank everyone out there in the interweb for tuning in. And I want to challenge you to do something you never thought you would do. Go live in Korea. Go live in Africa. Go live somewhere crazy. Or not so crazy, just move a few towns over where you don't know anybody. Or do something else. Tell us what it is. Put it in the comments. And I'd love to hear where it takes you. Thank you so much for tuning in. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. Have a great day.